Let's start with a Cyclone. It's very hard to go over like every single change, but generally Cyclone is more like a disposable unit. It can trade better. It's less of a, I don't know, like you lock on the target and just chase it for longer. It's like, okay, this is already not good for the YouTube video. I absolutely hate it. Okay, one more time. Okay, so let's start with a Cyclone. This unit is very different, and this unit is more designed to make mech viable in PvT. First of all, it's very hard to say so far. Is it actually too good, or maybe it's actually not good enough to make great in PvT? But it's definitely fun to play against Cyclones now, or like just mech in general, because it's very different from what we used to play against, which is Bio, all the games. So it adds a little bit of variety, and that's why I like this change. I feel like Cyclone is still a very frustrating unit to play against because it kind of locks onto you and it kites you forever, and it's probably even more efficient than Bio in it because you don't really need to kite, right? Like you don't have to hit and run or anything. You just go away, and like opponent can disengage, of course. But yeah, I'm not sure. But this definitely looks promising. I like that there gonna be more opportunities for Protoss. So I think I like this Cyclone change in general. So Ghost Snipe damage reduced. It doesn't really matter too much for PvT. Only difference is, I think, Zealot is not getting one-shotted, which is good probably, because as a Protoss player, it was a very frustrating mechanic for me that Ghost would just one-shot your Zealot. So that's nice. Other than that, Snipe doesn't change too much, and EMP change is obviously very massive. So I think in like what is good about this change. Of course, I'm mostly speaking about PvT. I don't really know much about TvZ, but for PvT, why I like this change is because it makes Terran army weaker in the early game when Protoss struggles the most, and it kind of makes it the same in late game, which is probably fine because I think in the very late game PvT Protoss was probably alright, and like the most problems we got was like first ghost timings and like just, let's say, like 3 to 4 base scenarios. I think it was very hard to actually come out in a decent economy and like army competition and stuff like that. So this should definitely help improving Protoss win rates in early game. So like generally I really like ghost changes. For Widowmine, it's more of a quality life thing in general because targeting line is now more visible, so you have more opportunities to drag your, like, let's say, probes away, like split them from the Widowmine. So I guess it gives it a little bit more counterplay against Widowmine, which is probably good. About Drilling Close upgrade, it's probably mostly for TvZ because for TvP I never see this upgrade. Like last time I saw this upgrade was probably like 3 or 4 years ago, so it's not very viable. It's probably like a small, tiny quality of life change for TvZ, which is alright. Speed upgrade replaced. This upgrade, I don't really have a strong opinion on that because, to be honest, just the previous upgrade we had was very useless. Or like not used at all. It was probably useful, but nobody used it because it was so long into the game when nobody needs this upgrade anymore. So it's probably nice, and it might be refreshing a little bit to have something different. So I'm up for that. And this is the biggest change. Minimap radius increase from 0.75 to 1. This is very, very, very huge difference because Medivac is so big now. Like I actually played a couple of games against it, and it's pretty much like a CC or something like that on the minimap. Like it's so easy to notice, and to be honest, I think it's a cool. Maybe it makes the game a little bit easier, but I think it's a cool change, and I'm up for that. Same goes for Warprism. Like Warprism got a similar change. Also got radius increased to 1. So I think it's fair that both of the transport ships are easier to spot because it's very easy to lose a game right away if let's say a couple of Medivacs get into your base, or maybe even like it's more reliable for like video mine drops early on into the game, so it will be easier to spot. And Warprism is just a hero unit in general. It can cause a lot of damage in another part of the map, so it's also very important to see it, and it's probably nice that you can spot it earlier. Interference Matrix now requires a research, cost 50-50, 57 research time. So the point for this change is to make Raven actually not all around units that you can build every single game. And like with this change, yeah, it's very cheap. It's 57 seconds, so not too long, but still, if you are actually like, you don't really want to even waste 50-50 and 57 seconds on your starport on nothing, right? So it's still a commitment, and this is nice. And in TVT it probably won't change much because 57 seconds is less than 2 Ravens, so you will always be able to build it in time. But for TVP, it's not like you can build your Raven in every single game and it will be always useful, because you can either mineral harass with auto turrets, or you can disable Colossi with it. So as a Protoss player, I think this is a very great nerf for Terran early game, which was a very big problem, and I think part of it was Raven, of course. Zerg. So it was all the Terran changes. So for Zerg, it's Lurker. Adaptive Talents doesn't provide move speed anymore for Lurkers, and it's a little bit cheaper. I don't really see Lurkers as much in PvZ. So it's once again mostly a TvZ change, I think. I don't mind it too much. For PvZ, once again, I don't think Lurkers were ever a problem. We also got, further we're gonna see that we got some nerfs for Disruptor, so it's probably fair that Lurkers are a little bit weaker, right? Because it will be easier to chase them with Novas, they won't be able to run away as easily, but I don't think it has too many balance. I don't think it affects balance too much in PvZ. So for Infestor, Pathogen Glance upgrade got removed. Energy is now 75 by default. So this is, as stated here, it's made because there is no Infested Terran anymore, so you can't use a single spell from Infest right away, which is not very good. And also, we don't really have any more energy upgrades. I think it was the last one, so I think it's the right thing to remove it. So fungal is a little bit nerfed as well, which is probably alright, because I think it should add a little bit more variety in Zerg's gameplay, because maybe in mid game you can get a couple of Infestor for fungals, and you don't really need to invest a lot of time or resources into upgrade. And in late game it will be a little bit better for Protoss in PvZ late game, which is also nice. Maybe Interceptors are gonna die a little bit slower. I'm quite happy with this change. I think it's a good one. In general, I'm very happy when changes are implementing new ways of approaching a certain matchup, and I feel like in PvZ it might be, or even in PvT it might be very interesting. And you can get a couple of Infestors and some build orders here and there. will be way more useful. So air armor upgrades. Inspire got a small cost buff. I think it's reasonable because for some reason the worst upgrade was more expensive than attack, because attack was always a priority, right? For muters, for corruptors, maybe against carriers who would like to get armor instead, but yeah, it still it still didn't mean it was better. So I think it's a very fair change to decrease it a little bit. Consume damage reduction from 200 to 150. Just a quality life change, nothing more. I think it's also fine because from Zerg perspective, when I was playing Zerg, for me it was also a little bit too much, and it was so easy to kill a gas, for example, or kill a hatchery with it. I think it's nice. It's also not very drastic, only 50 damage. For I think it's like 50 mana for 150 damage, which is probably fine. Broodlord got changed a little bit. It's faster now, but it has less DPS from broodlings potentially because attack speed is reduced and also health and move speed reduced. So broodlings gonna attack less and deal less damage. I think I don't really have a strong opinion about this change because I didn't play PvZ late game too much. I think it should be more fun to play for sure because it will be easier from Zerg side because it will be easier to deal damage with Broodlords, right, and run away. But at the same time, from Protoss perspective, I'm not so sure. Like I really need more testing for this change. But we also got some in return, so we'll talk about it a little bit further. I think it's an interesting direction for Broodlord. Like I think the second patch in a row we do that kind of change when we change the move speed of Broodlord a little bit, make it a little bit more maneuverable. And I'm up for that because I really don't like the campy late game scenarios, and this Broodlord, it's a very campy unit, so I'm happy when it becomes a little bit less campy. Overlord got buffed a little bit, so I think it stops a little bit quicker, and also creep delay is reduced. I feel like it makes some Zerkalins are a little bit stronger, and I kind of like it, to be honest, because at this point it feels like after Queen Walk nerf, it was a little bit too much, and queens were a little bit too weak offensively. And at the same time, you don't really want to buff Queen because Queen is insane unit, right? It's like very strong and powerful. I think this is a very good change in order to add some offensive options for Zerg, but at the same time don't really buff Queen in any way. So this is pretty much what this Overlord buff achieves, and also the Dropper Lord buff, a little bit more speed. Nothing major, but probably gonna be a little bit easier to use Dropper Lords early into the game, and also maybe there's gonna be some fun build orders as it. I'm not sure, but I'm once again happy with more opportunities given to Zergs to make some fun plays. Hydralisk is a little bit buffed in terms of cost. Burrow and Burrow is also changed, but I'm not sure if it's gonna have any balance differences. Cost is the most important one, and to be honest, it's not very. I'm not sure if it's gonna matter in PvZ. It's probably mostly a TvZ change, but at this point, I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, I feel like this unit just have its own place, and I don't think it's overpowered or too weak. So this change shouldn't really do any. Shouldn't really change much, I think. But it's probably nice, especially combined with snapshot nerf, right, from Zerg. I think it's a decent change. I don't have anything about it. So Hydra upgrade got merged. To be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of this change because I feel like this is, I don't know, this just makes timing so much stronger with Hydralisks, and I don't really like getting lint by Hydras at all. And we had a lot of Hydra metas in the past, and it wasn't very fun. So to be honest, this change I'm not very happy about, but I think it needs a little bit more testing. Don't forget that these changes are not they're not finalized yet, right? So might be changed, but this change I'm not a fan of. I think I don't know, but I might be wrong because we have a super battery recharge. Like a lot of things changed since we last had merged upgrades, but I'm a bit afraid of that. Not gonna lie. I think this next change is probably the biggest one in this patch. So Banelings do not one-shot probes on +2 anymore. Same goes for drones, but who cares about drones, right? And it also doesn't provide any health bonus, which is also huge. So Banelings received a very big nerf. And honestly, I'm very happy about it because Baneling is very strong. And it also, like the +2 probe, +2 attack probe one-shot mechanic was very set and like very annoying to play in games because, yeah, like you can kill 25 Banes, but one gonna roll and it gonna kill all of your probes. So as a Protoss player, I'm very happy, and also it will make Zerg's life in mid-game way harder because it will be harder to deal damage, and pretty much every Bane base style, so it can be Hydra Bane or Ravager Bane, it was very focused on killing probes, because if Protoss stays on a very high economy and just gets its units and it has a lot of batteries and stuff, it's usually very hard for Zerg to do something. So I'm very happy with this, with these changes. It also gonna have a big impact on TVZ, but to be honest, I can't really say how much it will be because it also got buffed a little bit. So maybe there's some build orders gonna be tighter. It could be. I'm really looking forward to this change. I think this is one of the biggest ones, and I'm really tired of Banes, and I really want to play against some other unit compositions, maybe Roach, Hydra, or something like that, especially with the next nerfs we're gonna see for Disruptors. I think it will be possible to at least try some different styles. But that was it for Zerg. Let's go for Protoss. Forge Shield upgrade cost reduced. It's only reduced on tier 2 and tier 3, which is reasonable because it's crazy expensive, right? So it's like 150 on the first upgrade, also 75 for any extra one, and it got reduced to +50. Just it's mostly a quality of life change because I don't feel like shield upgrades really have like a big effect in any matchup. Like maybe in PvZ it's nice, but still, it's like if you have any timing, it's probably gonna be on like +1 shield armor or something like that. So nothing really changed, and for PvT it doesn't really matter. So it's very minor, but I think it's also nice to reduce it a little bit. So armor upgrades for air got the same buff as Zerg. Spire upgrades for armor. Yeah, once I have the same idea. Like these upgrades are straight up worse than attack, but it was more expensive, so it didn't really make much sense and got changed. Also very nice. War Prism is also extremely weak on the minimap. I also think it's a very good change because War Prism can easily finish the game, so it's nice to make it a little bit easier to spot. I'm also very happy about this change. So Disruptor got a very big nerf. It now costs 4 supply instead of 3. Also, it's easier to spot when Disruptor is charged or not because some model scale got reduced, also radius increased. So long story short, it's way easier now to see if Disruptor has charged or not. So it will be easier to let's say, dive it with bio, right? Like you have a ball of disruptors somewhere and you just dive it with bio because you can more clearly see if there is any novas ready or not. So generally, I think it's a move in the right direction because disruptors are very, very annoying to play against. But at the same time, from Protoss side, on the highest level, it's also very annoying to rely so much on disruptor because realistically nobody should get like a very big nova connection right into the army. So from Protoss side, it's like you have to pray that your opponent gonna make a very huge mistake and you will win the game, right? So combined with some other changes, I think it's nice that we shift a little bit from disruptors and into more non-disruptor based armies. So for example, the EMP change is also a move into this direction, right? So maybe it will be a little bit easier to use High Templars for storms. Like general army quality will not quality, but like for Terran it will be way harder to land enough EMPs to cover all the Protoss army, which also obviously gonna make it way stronger. But at the same time, I'm not so sure how it's gonna affect the game because if we actually still need to mass disruptors like we did in previous patch, then it means that our army just gonna get weaker, even weaker than it was before because we're gonna lose one supply per every single disruptor we build. But at the same time, I have a very high hopes that we're just gonna build like 4 disruptors, maybe, or like 3 disruptors, and the rest gonna be very high quality Protoss units like Immortals, Colossus, maybe a couple of Archons, maybe Storms. We're gonna be more playable because of EMP nerf. Can't really know just yet. So I'm really looking forward for that, and I really want to change. I really want to check out this change and see how it feels in game on like a big scale of games because I really like that this patch refreshes the game that much. So we're gonna have a lot of different things to try out, which is, in my opinion, is very important for the game. And like, it's just so hard to play the game over and over again for years when nothing is changed and you don't really have much to learn anymore. So I think that's why I'm so hopeful about this patch. Next change is Void Ray. It got a little bit buffed at Prismine at Flux Veins upgrade. It was a bug, so I don't know if I guess bug fix is also a bug. Is also a buff, right? So I guess it's bug fixed. Now it's gonna be easier to split your Void Rays when you get, let's say, you get Parasitic Bombed and you activated your Prismatic Alignment. It will be easier to split your Void Rays, which is probably nice because it's very frustrating when you charge your Void Rays and you start attacking Corruptors and like Parasitic Bomb lands on your army and you can't do anything anymore, right? You have to disengage with your Voids, you have to cancel a charge, and it's very annoying. And now it will be very easier to split. As you can see, it's actually a significant amount, almost 1 move speed. I really like it. Tempest got a small buff for first of all, it's smaller and also it moves a little bit more conveniently. It's actually quite big. Like I didn't play it myself, but I was playing Zerg and I saw how it looks in game, and it felt way more responsive even without me playing it. And I think in game it will be even better. So I think it also helps to hit and run. So it won't. So if you try to hit and run now, you will try to kite, but acceleration and deceleration will be so slow that you won't be able to do it, and your unit's just gonna die most likely. And now it's gonna be way easier to hit and just run away. So I'm quite happy with this change. And the next one is my favorite one probably. So Mothership got a lot of different changes, and long story short, this is not a capital ship anymore that kind of cloaks your army and does nothing. This is more of an like arbiter type of unit that you can rally somewhere across the map, and you just TP your whole army and you kill a base, let's say, or maybe you TP in production or something like that. And to be honest, I'm really happy about this. I feel like this change makes it so much easier to make plays as Protoss, especially in late game, and also it just makes games a little bit more active. And also another cool thing about it is that it's not energy based anymore and it's cooldown based, so you can't EMP it and make it not cast any spell, right? So because of that, it's also very good in PvT now. And I really like this change. I feel like, for example, instead of having a squad of DTs now, you can have your Mothership somewhere around the map, and you can just TP your whole army on a PF and kill it with your main army. And I think this is very cool, and it makes Protoss be able to make a lot of fun plays. So I'm really happy about this change. Also, it moves a little bit easier. It's fast. Yeah, like you can read all the changes here. This is probably the change that I'm gonna try the most among all the ones. I'm really happy about it. Sentry got buffed a little bit for Guardian Shield. Nothing really major, just makes our army a little bit stronger. Same goes for Oracle. Status Vartes has a little bit more sight. It's more like, it's not as useful, but sometimes, let's say, if you play PvT and you have an Oracle, you can maybe put a status trap under your main base to spot for Medivacs or something like that. I'm not sure if it will be used as much, but I don't think it's any game breaking, so why not? It's like a very tiny small buff for Protoss. And the last change is Immortal Barrier is not triggered by EMP as it was before. So if before you would shoot in EMP, it would just drain 100 shields and activate the barrier as well. So barrier would just run out and it would effectively be 200 damage. But now it's just gonna block the damage. And also I think it works for Disruptors, that Disruptors would also go through the barrier. So like the damage gonna be shot before the barrier activates. Same goes for Yamato. But yeah, mostly it was changed for EMP, of course, and it's also gonna make Protoss army a little bit stronger, but just a tiny bit, because if you double EMP, it's still gonna drain all the shields. So it's not as big of a change in late game, although it still requires Terran to spend more energy. But in mid game, I think it's gonna be very, very important. So generally speaking about this patch, I'm very happy that it's very hard with the patch. It's very hard to say if it breaks the game or makes the game better. But what I really like is that we have a lot of fresh ideas to try, fresh styles we can try, units that are reworked like Cyclone or Mothership. And this is what I'm looking for, to be honest. Like, I don't care about balance as much, and I care way more about having something to learn in the game, and this is exactly what patch provides. So I'm really looking forward for it. It might still need some tuning, like some of the changes are not finalized, but that's why we have some time to see how it feels and how this change is gonna affect the game.